Hello again guys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of Formula 1 2016. We've just had the Chinese Grand Prix, so results are going to follow. So as always, this is a spoiler alert, so if you don't want to listen to the results and haven't seen it, then please watch the video at a later date. So, Chinese Grand Prix, Rosberg wins his third race in a row so far this season. Sebastian Vettel finishes in second, and Daniel Kvyat for Red Bull finishes in third, scoring his first podium in a fair while actually, so very well done to him. Now, first time this season, all 22 cars finished the race. Doesn't mean there wasn't any drama. There's a lot of body work flying around this week. One of those also being from Lewis Hamilton in the first corner. Raikkonen loses it. Sebastian Vettel was trying to go out the outside. He couldn't move over because Daniel Kvyat was also doing the same manoeuvre on Vettel as he was trying to do to Raikkonen. So he got a little bit unhappy and thought that Daniel Kvyat wasn't giving him enough space and was basically being reckless and dangerous, whereas Daniel Kvyat said, well, I passed him cleanly. So they had a little bit of a talk after the race, shall we say. Hamilton, unfortunately, he had to start from the back of the grid due to having to have a new power plant put in his car because he had gearbox issues on the Friday and power issues on the Saturday in qualifying, so he started from the back of the grid. So he got caught up in the Raikkonen scenario because it kind of had a backlash, and he got caught up in cars trying to avoid it, and he lost his front wing early, which then got wedged under his car and yet again destroying the floor of his car, which meaning aerodynamically he lost downforce again. So he still managed to finish 7th, hoping for a bit higher. We're still kind of positive, but kind of feels that, you know, a bit of his luck's kind of gone. So, but I think he still did very well considering he had technically yet again a damaged car. But everybody else, Daniel Ricciardo did really well. Finished 4th after basically a pretty excellent start to the race. He got ahead very early on, stayed ahead for about 6 laps. But he was on old tyres from qualifying, and they decided to give out on him. His left rear decided it was going to detach from the rest of the wheel and blew, so he had to pit early. And he fought back very well for the race and came back to 4th. A lot of people had the same problems where people missed out tyre issues, wing issues, bodywork issues. So a lot of pit stops were made. Hamilton did 5, Ricciardo I think did 3, a lot of 3 stops, not as many 2 stops as normal. So because of a lot of debris was on the track due to bodywork and people basically running into the back of each other, it was quite a clumsy race. The marshals had to go about 9th lap, they called the safety car out to clear up all the mess. Unfortunately this time didn't score points. They feel a little bit saddened by the fact that their car wasn't able to perform as well as they'd hoped, considering it wasn't really a happy birthday for Romain Grosjean, celebrating his 30th birthday on that Sunday. So they were a little bit disappointed, but they've still done really well for a new team to basically score points 2 out of 3 races. Isn't bad, it's very, very good for a team that's only just in their first season. So hopefully they can come back strong in the next race, which is in Russia at Sochi. So hopefully they'll be even better than they have done before. Hopefully there's going to be a few more changes in grid position. I'm happy with this season. In fact, there's more overtaking. A little bit disappointed that it's still Mercedes on top. Even though Lewis had his issues, there's always been at least one Mercedes on top, and the top man has been Rosberg. I'm not saying he's a bad driver, he's done very well, he's very deserving of those 3 wins. But I'd kind of want to see I want to see him fight for it more. He's kind of basically just walked away with each race so far, so I would like to see other teams give him a run for his money. So, the McLaren boys, Lonzo returned after his accident in Melbourne, and obviously because he wasn't able to race at Bahrain. They was able to race in China. He was a bit disappointed because of weather and people crashing in qualifying. It was red flagged. They're doing really well. He's disappointed the fact that he couldn't get higher. He finished, both McLaren boys finished 12th. Well, I think there's Alonso finished 12th with Button in 13th. A little bit disappointed. The tyres weren't working from in this race. They did very well early on, went to medium compound, and it wasn't doing as well as they'd hoped, to a point where they stuck with it because at the time they changed the tyres again, they would have been worse off, so they kind of stuck with it. So they still finished well, they were just shy of the points, so that's a bit unlucky for them. Toro Rosso didn't do too bad either. They finished 8th and 7th, I think, in that sort of ballpark. So they didn't do too bad. So again with Williams, didn't do too bad either. Not as well as they'd hoped. And even in the commentary, but in the commentary team, Mage mentioned that Williams hadn't had such a brilliant season so far as they did last year. That's surely because of other teams have basically caught up. Toro Rosso aren't doing too bad. Obviously, has nicked them, have stolen some points off them as well. Force injured a little bit as well. So there's a jostling of a lot of teams still in that sort of that mid pack. Obviously, Ferrari caught up with them as well, as had Red Bull. So they're not. So before they were that second best team, I would have said in 2014, whereas they kind of lost that now because obviously other teams have now caught up. So it's not looking too badly. As I've said in the last video, it's still very early days. There's still a lot more racing to go. So everyone's sort of like, oh, he's got this points. All talking about standings. Yes, it makes sense to score points early on now, which is why Rosberg has set himself up beautifully, as have some of the other teams who are scoring consistently. Consistency is the key. Score points early on, and hopefully when it comes to the later part of the season, if you score a little less points, you've already got a lot of points already in the bag from the races previous. So yeah, that's it. China's done with this year. Obviously we move on to Russia in the next race, which I think is in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, obviously top 3 drivers again, I will say, are Rosberg wins his 3rd, Sebastian Vettel finishes 2nd for Ferrari, and Daniel Kvyat for Red Bull finishes in 3rd. Obviously the racing is getting better, there's a lot more overtaking in the mid-pack, there's a lot more people fighting for 2nd and 3rd, which is better than last year. Just wish there's a little bit more racing happening for 1st, and it's not just one person walking away with the race each and every week, because it does get a little tedious. I would like to see him race, but on the whole, season so far is going a lot better than seasons of late. So yeah, obviously guys, if you liked it, put a like for this video. Obviously let me know what you think of the race, if those of you have seen it, or if you haven't seen it, what do you think of F1 and what are your thoughts? And I shall see you guys later. So take care guys.